Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the good, the bad, and the encyclopedia. I am your host, Big Evil himself, the Devil's Advocate. To my right, the encyclopedia himself. Yeah, you're on my right tonight.
Hopefully it looks that way in the recording.
Well, if it doesn't, oh well. So good evening, encyclopedia.
Good evening. Welcome back from the falls.
Thanks. I did not go over in a barrel. As much as everyone seemed to want me to, I didn't do it.
But I did see you and your family took a simulated photo of that.
Yeah, it was quite awful. And our other host, hopefully tonight he's here to give us his blessing, the good Reverend himself.
Yeah, we are. Look, we're all here. All three of us are here. That is a blessing in and of itself, isn't it?
I could leave if you wanted to just go back to two.
No, it was a good thing.
We're full strength once again.
Yeah, three-man team.
That's
three-man champs.
All right. So, lots happened in the last few weeks. I missed last week's show. Like I said, I was in Niagara Falls, and while I was there, we lost the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan. And since I'm usually the resident historian, so to speak, I'll take a minute just to talk a little bit about Kevin Sullivan, throw it to the guys, see if they have any thoughts. And then, of course, we'll talk to the other person that we lost, unfortunately, Sid Vicious, Sid Justice. So let's start with Kevin Sullivan, the Boston Battler himself. I met Kevin Sullivan a couple of years ago. Very nice man. Really enjoyed talking to him. Was really in a good mood. He and I were joking around a little bit. It wrestled a lot longer than you would think. He was wrestling all the way back in the 70s. He actually started out in the WWF. And then he moved around. He was in Florida for a while, teaming with Mike Graham, and then he was in Georgia, teaming with Austin Idol and Stan Hansen. But he really made his bones when he moved to Florida. And the angle that went on forever was he portrayed himself to be a devilish type character. He never said he was the devil, but he was a devilish type character, and he introduced the fallen angel, which is became his future wife, which was Chris Benoit's wife eventually, Nancy, and he introduced Luna Vachon to wrestling. He gave Mark Lewin and Bob Roop like a second life. And that angle with him and Dusty Rhodes and Blackjack Mulligan and Barry Windham went on for quite a long time. I mean, they talk about the bloodline going on for a long time, but this angle went on for a long time as well. And then we move forward, the Varsity Club, the Taskmaster, feuding with Hulk Hogan, feuding with David Sullivan. Again, introducing us to Rick Steiner, right, with the Varsity Club. And from there, he moved on to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and he actually was in ECW before ECW was Eastern Championship Wrestling. Later in life, became a booker. And as they say, booked his own divorce because he booked Nancy to be with Chris Benoit, and eventually she left Kevin Sullivan to be with Chris Benoit, but was known for his brilliant mind. Unfortunately, in later years, like I said, got sick. I think he fell and injured himself, and just continued to get progressively worse. And I saw there was a fundraising right before he died, trying to get him some money, and then unfortunately he passed away. But what an interesting man! Like I said, what a great life. He had 75 years old. Someone I think if I think I checked, I don't think he's in the WWE Hall of Fame. If he isn't, he should be. The man had done a lot for the business. So, goodbye, Kevin Sullivan. We're gonna miss you. And like I said, I'll throw it out to the guys if anybody has any thoughts or any memories of Kevin Sullivan they want to talk about. He might be a little bit before you guys. I'm a little older than you guys, so I know, I've seen a lot more of him, but he's all over YouTube. I mean, if you're really curious about that whole Florida angle, it's all over YouTube, and you can watch it week by week. And there was so many great angles, so many copied today that he did back then. So, Reverend,
Didn't
yeah.
he do the fireball or something to Dusty Rhodes or so? I'm trying to remember.
He's
I
thrown.
feel like
Go ahead.
I feel like that's what he did. Like he attacked him. He attacked
Well,
Dusty and like he threw a fireball in his face or something.
he's done. He did that. There was an angle where Jake Roberts dressed up as Santa Claus, and they had a cage match, and Kevin Sullivan won the cage match, and that's where the Midnight Rider came in. You know, this masked wrestler came in who looked a lot like Dusty Rhodes, but was never proven that it was Dusty Rhodes. He had an angle where he spiked Blackjack Mulligan in the chest. There was an angle where he threw ink in Dusty Rhodes' sister's face and got banned from the NWA for life, and Dusty Rhodes had to get him back in so he can get his revenge. I mean, there are so many angles that he was involved in. And like I said, fire and, in all of these things that really weren't happening back then too often, that you see a lot more today, you could thank Kevin Sullivan. He just had such an impact, and like he was ahead of his time. I mean, if you look at some of the promos he did, and he's saying all these crazy things, and it's coming out of his mouth like it was like he wasn't reading a script. He was talking, and he believed everything he was saying, and people really believed that he was a Satanist. And he wasn't. He just he knew how to sell. He knew how to get it over.
Mhm.
So, encyclopedia, anything you want to add? Anything you want to say?
Most of my experience watching Kevin Sullivan was unfortunately the Dungeon of Doom, which I don't know if that's considered his best work based on what I've read and what you've shared with us now. But that's what I remember him for. And the whole storyline with him and having a brother named Evad.
Mm-hmm. What about I respect you, Booker Man?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, creative genius.
Tillman. Yeah.
He's definitely one of those guys that creatively contributed a lot to this business that we all love, and doesn't necessarily get the attention that some of us might think he so richly deserves, but I don't think he cared.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you listen to his podcast as well, he pulled no punches. If he didn't like something, he just said it. He wasn't kissing anybody's butt. He didn't have to worry about that. So, like I said, I was saddened to hear that because I really, like I said, not only meeting him and really liking him, but really liking all of his work. So it was unfortunate. And moving on to our next unfortunate loss, we lost, like I said, Sid Vicious this week. Cancer. And it was almost like he predicted his own demise. If you saw that tweet he put out where he was trying to get into the WWE Hall of Fame, and he was kind of saying, I don't know how much more time he said something along those lines. Yes, go ahead.
There's apparently a story that's come out that actually wasn't him. That was a fan that basically created the Twitter account and was emulating him. And his family, he and his family were trying to take it down, supposedly, because I think it showed up as verified, but that was one story I read.
I mean, nowadays verified doesn't mean much on Twitter, so
yeah, no, you pay for it.
Yeah,
you could pay for it.
Okay, well, I mean,
I could be the devil's advocate tomorrow with a blue check. I would be terrible at it. There's only one.
It's true.
Well, okay. So let's put that aside for a minute. I mean, he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame, no doubt about that. I think the sentiment was right. I don't know if it was directly from him. We can call that disputed, but he started out in Memphis. He met Randy Savage, and Randy Savage talked him into wrestling. And I think I remember there was an angle where he broke Jamie Dundee's neck, I think, or somebody's neck, somebody's kid's neck. He used to use the Cobra hold. I remember that. But he really made his bones as a member of the Skyscrapers. Everybody remembers the Skyscrapers, Danny Spivey, and Sid Vicious. I mean, they were just an amazing tag team. And unfortunately for him, an injury took him out of the running. But fortunately for someone named Mean Mark Callis, and we all know who Mean Mark Callis turned into, right? Everybody's shaking their heads. If you don't know who that is, it's The Undertaker. So it gave him a higher profile, which made WWE look at him, and then we know the rest of that. He did join the Four Horsemen for a spell. He was involved in that famous angle where he was wrestling Sting, and Barry Windham came out in Sting makeup, and they tried to pass him off as a loss, and it turns out it didn't work, as you know. And then he joined the WWF as Sid Justice, an ally of Hulk Hogan, turning out later not to be such an ally of Hulk Hogan. That famous ending of the '92 Rumble where he threw Hogan out, and then Hogan tossed him out with help from Ric Flair. And then they main evented WrestleMania. And then, he went back to WCW for a little while. And he was supposed to wrestle Vader. But then we know what happened after that. The infamous Arn Anderson Scissors storyline got him fired from WCW. And he moved back to WWE where he started out as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard, eventually turning on Shawn, becoming a two-time champion there. My favorite run of his, the WWF run notwithstanding, I loved when he was in ECW because he would just come out and just powerbomb people. I thought it was funny. He didn't really wrestle anybody. He'd walk out in jeans, he'd powerbomb a guy a couple times, he'd leave. And you were like, wow, I don't really understand this whole thing, but I love it. It's great. And then, he finished up coming back to WCW as the Millennium Man, feuded with Goldberg. And then he had that unfortunate incident where he tried to come off the top rope and snapped his ankle. And that was one of the, if you haven't seen that,
Don't.
Yeah, there's your warning. If you're queasy, if those kind of things make you sick, don't do it.
You want to watch a Sid Vicious WCW moment? Wow, it's apparently a race outside tonight. If you want to watch a great Sid WCW moment during his feud with Goldberg, was probably the single greatest piece of melodramatic acting you'll ever see. When the car gets flattened and Sid comes running out to see it and screams Goldberg's name like he was in A Streetcar Named Desire, and it's like he hammed it up, and it's brilliant. But don't watch the jump. Don't watch the jump.
No, I definitely would not do that. So just to finish up, I mean, he had some children, he had some grandchildren, and like I said, I think I think it was a sad thing that he apparently he was sick. No one really knew. A few people I saw after the fact were saying they saw him at a convention recently. And he looked pretty bad. And it turns out it was cancer, and at the age of 63. So it's a shame. Again, another guy. I think never really quite met the heights that people thought. I mean, he had the look, he had the charisma. Seems like injuries and other things kind of derailed him a little bit, but in the end, a very good career. I mean, it's multiple-time world champion and all that. So, we salute Sid Vicious, Sid Eudy, Godspeed. So again, I'll throw my thoughts. I'll throw the mic over to my compatriots, the encyclopedia. Anything you want to say about Psycho Sid, Sid Vicious, Sid Justice?
So I've had a history going back to when I first started watching wrestling to kind of root for the heels in a lot of respects. And Sid was one of those people. That '92 Royal Rumble, I was rooting for Sid, and legitimately got pissed at Hogan for grabbing his arm and pulling him out. And then I remember an 11, almost 12-year-old me when they announced Hogan originally as the number one contender for Ric Flair's championship at WrestleMania. And I remember screaming at the TV, but Sid threw him out of the Royal Rumble. Why isn't he getting the title shot? Like, I was legit mad. I think it was like one of the first times I was watching wrestling. I was legit pissed off. I liked the guy. I know he botched some backstage interviews and interviews in front of the crowd every once in a while. Wasn't necessarily a great technical marvel in the ring, but he was powerful. He was intimidating. He was the ruler of the world. I'll be honest, I'm kind of sick of WWE Hall of Fame inductions happening posthumously. Hope I pronounced that right, because I know I botched words up myself, just like Sid. But Sid should have been in the Hall of Fame, and I think it's sad that he, just like Vader and Mr. Perfect and a few others, is not going to get that honor while they were with us in this world. So I think I might have met Sid once. I can't find the photo, but I could have sworn I met him. But if I didn't meet him, I wish I did. He's one of the guys on the list I definitely would have paid money to meet. I did tear up when I saw the announcement a little bit, so I have no problem admitting that.
Yeah.
Reverend?
So one of my favorite all-time tag teams is Harlem Heat. And it is on the record that Harlem Heat would not exist if not for Sid, who brought them in. And apparently he was that type of person, though. If he decided he was going to help you out, he apparently helped some folks out. And yeah, I still remember as a kid. Also, I kind of liked Sid too, but I did like the ECW thing where he would just walk in and powerbomb. I always thought that was great. I don't know. You said something, Rob, and I'm trying to figure it out. You said something, and it is true. There's a reason why he wasn't like the top big guy, and he should have been, because even in school we would talk about Psycho Sid. Like that was one of those guys we'd all talk about all the time. Like, and everybody would follow that. So everybody who knew anything about wrestling knew about Sid. So yeah, it's sad. He passed way too young. You know,
Yep.
there's not much else to say about that. But
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed on Raw, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest refer to themselves as masters and rulers of the world.
they did,
And then they
Xavier
delivered
Woods had a
they delivered a
the
choke
thing.
slam and a power bomb
Yep.
in tribute. So, all right. Well, I mean, again, rough week. I mean, and on a personal level, I'm losing more of my younger heroes. Guys I knew, and it sucks. It always sucks. And like I think Anthony brought up a very good point. Like, we're losing people, and they're not getting their due while they're alive. And how hard would it have been to put Sid in the Hall of Fame like last year or the year before? Why are we waiting so long? So, all right. Well, on that note, let's take it out to AEW. We had a pay-per-view this past weekend in England. They called it All In. And funny enough, if you look at the picks, we all pretty much hit the same numbers. We had a few clunkers here and there, but overall, I think we did a pretty good job considering, because some of these matches were really tough to pick. Like, I really agonized over my picks. I really didn't know in some cases where they were going to go.
There's no way anybody would have picked that casino match.
No.
Well, I mean, it would have almost made sense for Hangman to win if Swerve was going to win.
Yes.
Right. But since they didn't do that, they went with Christian. I mean, I don't have a problem with Christian winning. I love Christian. I think he's funny.
Yeah.
He always seems to bring some type of interest with him. But it was, that was a tough. Did you guys pick up on my quote? I figured Anthony would know that one for sure. I'll read it to you again, and you guys.
No, you don't have to read it again. We literally wasted about 5 minutes trying to figure out which movie it was from.
Did you figure it out?
Well, Google at first came up with Tombstone, but then it was The Hateful Eight.
Yes, it's The Hateful Eight, and I thought you would have known because we saw that together. But all right, that's okay. I mean, I just watched it recently, so it was sticking in my mind, and then I was like, oh, I bet Anthony will pick this one up. I'll throw this little Easter egg out for him because he'll get it.
No, if anything, we were judging you for your comments because we thought you could have done better on some of these.
Well, again, I was working and getting ready to go on vacation, so I did the best I could with the time allotted.
And
So,
this is
and
why
like,
Rob does not tell his
yeah.
coworkers that he does this podcast because he incriminates himself on it left and
No,
right.
I actually did it the night before I left, so I
That's
actually
not what
did
you just said.
it.
Jason, you heard him too, right?
I
I said
heard
with
him.
the time allotted. So I mean, that's the time I had allotted. So
You said it while I was working.
I mean, I was
Working and
working my
packing.
job, not working this. So never mind. All right, we'll move right along. So
Mhm.
let's go. Let's talk to the Reverend first. Did you see the show? Did you like the show? Give us your
I
rundown.
did see the show, and I did like the show. Um, I am going to go. I'm gonna kind of grade this show against a certain somebody's uh, star ratings because that's how I remember what I liked and disliked about it the most.
Are you going to go through the complete list of star ratings then?
No, I can't. I can't. All I'm gonna say is if a certain uncle actually gave Tony Storm and Mariah May 1.5 stars and gave Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker 2.5 stars,
He wasn't watching the right show.
he wasn't watching the right show or he was drinking. Like drinking. Because first of all, Tony Storm and Mariah May, actually that was one of my favorite matches of the show. I just like that story though. I didn't think that, and we talked about this weeks ago. I didn't think it was possible to keep that feud interesting. Um, because there was so much time between when she
Yeah.
got the title shot and made the turn and the actual match. I was surprised that they were able to keep it interesting. The crowd was definitely into it. They just told a nice story from beginning to end. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Um, so that was a fun match. The tag team match with the triple threat tag team match, I enjoyed. Um, Pretty much, I mean, we all knew how that was gonna go. We knew the Bucks were gonna do something to pull it out. I don't know what you do with those titles anymore, but let the Acclaimed end. Um, who just came in now, the grizzled young vets. I guess them and FTR, they're all gonna go fight each other now for a while, so you won't see those defended for another couple of months. I can't tell if Hook versus Chris Jericho was a good match, but I enjoyed Chris Jericho's antics, and I enjoyed the ending, so that was cool. Um, the Casino Gauntlet, I think, like we just mentioned, there's no way anybody could have predicted what was going to happen, but holy shit, Nigel McGuinness wrestled on a pay-per-view
Hmm.
in front of a live audience
And didn't shit the bed.
and did not shit the bed. I mean, wow. I did not have that on my 2024 bingo card. So that was a really nice surprise. That was maybe the nicest surprise out of the whole night. Just that, like, he got to do that. Ricochet made his debut. I was surprised he kept his name. Still not as big a surprise as the Nigel McGuinness thing, because that's all I kept thinking about for a while afterwards. Like, holy shit, Nigel McGuinness just wrestled. Um, what else? Will Ospreay, MJF. I don't know what you say there. They they just know what they know what they're doing. I enjoyed the first match. I enjoyed the second match. We'll get a third one at some point, I'm sure. Nice to see him win. I was surprised I could hear MJF so clearly. I don't know if that hit any of you, but there were certain points where he was talking trash, and I could hear him so clearly. I was like, wait, how can I hear him over this crowd? And I realized they were just quiet for him to talk, but they were into the match. So it wasn't like they were bored, but they wanted to hear him talk shit. So that was cool. Um, back Oh yeah, the coffin match was weird.
Yeah. Do we
But
know why that ended so early? Was it time?
Yes, they were running out of time.
Okay.
that was it. Okay. Because yeah, it was just such a weird thing. It was also unexpected to just see Jack Perry whooping up on Darby Allin like that for the majority of the match. But okay, whatever. It just sort of ended. It was cool. It was brutal, and the crowd seemed to enjoy that glass spot. So there's some FCM Punk chants, but the Crimea River chants were the ones that I thought were more beneficial to them. So that was cool. I picked Swerve. Wrong. Only one of us picked the American Dragon, I believe, and hell of a match though. That was a hell of a match, and I really like the ending of it too. That told a really good. That was a good, really good match between them. So and you know what's gonna happen next. Adam Page and Swerve are gonna go brutalize each other, probably at All Out. If not,
They've already announced it's a cage match.
there you go.
I guess you don't watch. Did you not watch Dynamite?
I didn't see all of it, but I guess it is.
Yeah, they're gonna wrestle in a cage. It was the opening segment, I think, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I remember. I don't get time for that.
No, it was a half hour in.
Okay.
It bled into the opening segment because the opening match was but.
Okay.
They lost. They lost them with the 2-minute segment of just punching each other in the opening of that match.
Yeah.
Ishii and Hangman, they're just.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I think last week, just going back to that Casino Gauntlet, I think last week, Encyclopedia, we were saying, it would be nice if Okada shows up. Why isn't he on the card? So that was it was nice to have him in the match, and he was actually looking pretty spry for he looks like he's found his legs a little better in AEW, so good for him. Other than that, good show. It was a good show. There was the only disappointment was probably the TBS championship match for me, and it was just weird because I don't know that they did anything wrong. It just didn't seem to click.
I'm gonna I want to bring up something when we're done with this part. I want to hear the encyclopedia's thoughts, and then I'm going to give mine. And I want to talk a little bit about that match because Mark Henry had a theory that I want to run past you guys, and then I want to discuss that a little bit. So hang on to that thought about that match because I want to come back to it in a minute. But I want to hear what the encyclopedia thought of the card.
By the way, Rob, that went about 6 minutes.
Boy, am I good or what?
Jason, I had the stopwatch going when you started.
Anthony texted me. He's like, I'm timing him. I'm timing him, and I said
that graphic
it's gonna be about 6 minutes, and you hit like 6 minutes almost to the second. So.
Oh, I got to see if I can find a filter for a stopwatch.
Yeah,
it was about 6. I started about 30 seconds in.
So I was close.
You were close. Well, that's why he's the champion. He gets all the picks, right?
I know my reference. So go ahead.
All right, I'm going to try to keep this under 6 minutes.
Hey, look, man. Talk about what you want to talk about.
Not for nothing. A 6-minute sermon would normally be celebrated.
So yeah, I would be like, we need to go to this mass whenever this dude's doing it because 6 minutes is perfect.
I got a history about that, actually. I used to be an altar server, and the priest every week, he was a professor during the week. So he would read his homily. He'd have a binder, and he would go for about 15, 20 minutes. So as I'm serving one week, I just got a new watch with the stopwatch, start the timer. Well, when he finished, I stopped it, but it was one that had a beep, and he shot a look over at me. And he sits down, and he says, "How long was that?" And I was like, 17 minutes, 37 seconds. He goes, "Fine. Don't do it again."
Should have been like, "You don't do it again."
He should have kicked me off.
Get your hand off my knee.
Jeez. And folks, just to clarify, it wasn't the Reverend. It wasn't our Reverend.
Yes.
Not-
Yes. Yes. All right. Back to wrestling. Go ahead. What did you think about All In? Speaking of All In. Good.
I maybe you know what? If we wait till Jason's done laughing, we'll never get done. In all seriousness, I felt like I really enjoyed this from top to bottom. I felt like it had a WrestleMania feel to it most of the show. I was genuinely surprised. I was disappointed in the IWC focusing on the number of tickets sold, and I'm not going to throw that number out here in the end because it doesn't matter. It was a great show. There were little things here and there that I was just kind of like, they could have done better, but it just felt fun. It had surprises. It had special entrances. It had that WrestleMania feel. I mean, God, when Mercedes came out with the corgis and in the chariot, I was like, whoa, where did this come from? Nigel McGuinness returned, just as you said. The little things I'll nitpick. I thought we all picked Jack Perry across the board to win that match. What I don't understand, and I said this to Jason last week, Darby Allin is getting a title shot at Grand Slam. So he loses to Jack Perry?
Because he won, that's an automatic title shot, right? Because he won that match, so it doesn't matter if he lost to Jack Perry.
He's got the title shot, right? But my point being is, wouldn't you want to build your challenger up? Why would you have him lose?
I mean, I think what happened was they cut the match short and it just ended already. And Jack was winning at the time, so they just ended it.
You think
I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the original way it was supposed to end.
But you think Darby was supposed to go over?
No, I think it was supposed to go longer and he was supposed to get a lot more offense.
That I'm not denying. I was fine with it. I thought Jack Perry beating the crap out of Darby. I was like, I'm okay with that. It helps get him over. The glass segment, all right. I rolled my eyes a little bit because it's like, all right, let it go. But whatever, it's fine. It was entertaining. It's part of a show. So be it. The Blackpool Combat Club and Pac winning. That was out of the blue. Didn't see that coming. I almost feel like if you were from Britain, you were winning on this show. Because I know the one pick I didn't make was Mariah May. I picked Toni Storm to win. Because I thought for sure Mariah May was going to... But when Mariah May slapped her own mom for crying out loud, I was like, dude. It's like, damn. And I thought they were going to follow up with that. Like it was part of Mariah's plan with her mom, and her mom was involved to trick Tony, but it didn't come to that. Taz, I know it's been almost 20 years. Can we cinch in that Taz mission a little bit better?
Well, he couldn't get his arms around his body. Did you notice that?
I was like, oh my God, bro. But it was fun. The Swerve
Strickland, ankle lock or something, man.
Right. Yeah, the Swerve Strickland Bryan Danielson match, great, awesome match of the year contender, maybe. I think we could have done without the Hangman appearance in that match. I thought that took a little bit away from it, but my God, when Swerve was beating the crap out of Bryan with the kids sitting there watching, and Buddy actually turned around and Brie had to comfort him. I was like, that is some brilliant freaking storytelling there. And I just hope to God Bryan talked to his kids before they did all this, because otherwise those kids are going to be traumatized as fuck. I
don't know, because that daughter was staring right at him. His daughter was giving Swerve the evil eye there, so I have to tell you, I
didn't love that part of it.
Oh, once I saw Brie was ringside, I thought I know one person who's not going to like this.
I would have no problem if he was doing it to her, but I didn't really like the fact that he was yelling at the kids and stuff.
That's who Swerve is.
Didn't love it, but all right, it was part of the match, and if the kids are fine, then hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Bryan last night. Birdie said it was the best day of her life. Granted, the Peppa Pig double-decker tour is probably a good chunk of the reason why. Okay, so the Monet-Britt Baker match, I did not hate it. I actually thought it was a very strategically done match where Mercedes was focusing on the injury. We saw guys do that off and on, especially in the 90s. Bret Hart excelled at that. So that's what I thought Mercedes was doing. I didn't have a problem with that match. Did I think it was one of the best matches on the show? Not necessarily, but I thought the story was, and they said it on commentary. Britt was out for 10 months with a back injury. She was working the back. I mean, something as simple as a body slam off the second rope.
The body slam off the second rope was legit.
Right.
And that
Impressive.
woke everybody up.
Right. And the other thing, and I read some of the internet wrestling community saying, and I know I defend Mercedes probably unfairly at times, but a lot of them are saying, oh, she killed the crowd. That match followed up Will Ospreay and MJF. Come on, no match was going to succeed after that.
Yeah.
I don't even think Swerve and Bryan Danielson, I think it would have taken them a good 15 minutes to get the crowd back.
And I think you just gave me the context for why I felt it was off. And
Yeah.
it was because of the crowd. And it was because it just happened. It happened right after that match.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good call.
same. You could say the same thing with the Jack Perry Darby Allin match. The crowd did not come back until really that main event started. So that was two matches that really suffered. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You see it happen at WrestleMania all the time. But overall, yeah, and I'm probably well over 6 minutes, although I know you guys shared your thoughts too, which is totally appreciated. I really thought overall this was a fun WrestleMania style card.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I tend to think this was their best card ever. And I'll tell you because of what you guys said. Because number one, they had the production value. They made it look like it didn't look like a Dynamite. It had a big feel to it. And I think all the matches delivered. I'll come back to the Monet match because, like I said, I want to talk to you about what Mark Henry said and get your thoughts on that. But just a quick over because you guys have already covered it pretty well. I really enjoyed the card. I thought it was great. I was shocked that Swerve submitted. I never thought they would have got a submission. So when he submitted, I was even because I didn't read. I read who won, but I didn't read about the match. So when he submitted, I was like, "Whoa, okay, interesting."
Well, and the first Bushado knee, he just stood there, and I was like, "Oh God, really?" But it played out.
Yeah, no, it played well. I loved the Tony Storm Mariah May match. I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. The Casino Gauntlet match I thought was fun. Again, we all thought Hangman was going to win. But how do you pick a match like that when you don't even know half the participants are? So the fact that they snuck Christian in there is fine by me. I mean, he's always what?
Bro, you've gotten some of those matches right though. Give
Well,
yourself some
because
credit.
I mean, look, like I said to you before, if I would have thought if I thought Swerve was going to win, so Hangman to me would have been the natural choice to win that match because they were kind of setting that up anyway. So as soon as he didn't, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's harder to pick matches like that. You get lucky, a lot of times. MJF Will Ospreay, great, but no surprises there. The Jack Perry match, whatever. I mean, it ended short. It was kind of weird, but okay. The four-way match, I didn't even realize that Pac had joined them. I totally somehow missed that. And then when I saw that on there, I'm like, what? Why is he teaming with them? Did he join the Combat Club? So yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It was a strange match, and like you said, who would have thought they would have won? I mean, we all picked. It's funny. We picked Cage or the House of Black, and we were all wrong. So I mean, we had it all picked wrong. Young Buck match, whatever. They are what they are. It was fine. It wasn't a bad match at all, but and Chris Statlander and Stokely, I mean, oh my God, this feud's been going on forever, and I don't think anybody cares anymore. And I think I wrote that in my comments.
Yes, you did.
But I mean, overall, I thought it was their best card, top to bottom. There wasn't really a clunker anywhere. The production value was up there. The commentary is great. Like Anthony said, they had surprises. I was impressed overall. Like normally, it's like a slog sometimes to watch an AEW pay-per-view. You get tired, and you're like, oh my God. Or there's a few matches you're just like, this could have been on Dynamite. I didn't feel that way. So they did it. Yes.
There's two other things I forgot.
Go ahead.
And again, light criticism, didn't ruin the match. The ladder match and the casino gauntlet match. There were so many times that there were only two people in the ring, and I'm like, with that many participants, really? You're saying all these guys are taking a rest break on the outside? So I thought that could have been done better. And in defense of that mixed tag team match, that was on the 0 hour. So I'm not lumping that in with that pay-per-view experience.
Yeah.
In fact, if either one of you guys went back and found that on YouTube, more power to you. I also heard that there was like a 12-man tag or 12 people on each side tag match or some crap like that. I don't know.
I didn't even see that. So
yeah, I don't think anybody did, but apparently there was because I heard
yeah, I mean,
Dark Order was in it.
That's entertain the house crowd. That's fine. Whatever. Right. Okay. So let's
there was
double
just
back.
one thing I did want to say, and it's probably what made it feel like such a great card. and I say this a lot during AEW pay-per-views, but it didn't happen. I didn't feel like there was a lot of repetition throughout the show. I didn't feel like I was seeing the same thing happen in every match. So each thing felt a little bit more meaningful in the next match. So like what happened in the main event felt like it was the main event. It didn't feel like, oh, I just watched this 20
Yeah.
minutes ago. And that was really cool. So
Okay.
whoever booked it,
Yeah, they were
kudos.
paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's double back to the Mercedes Monet Britt Baker match because that seemed to be the match that got the most amount of criticism. And like Anthony said, a lot of the internet community had a lot of things to say. What I ended up finding, something popped up in my feed. Mark Henry had something to say about the match. So I'm going to read it to you guys if you hadn't heard it. And we'll get your thoughts because I have a few thoughts about the match as well, why it didn't maybe go over as well. And like I said, I want to hear what you guys have to say. It missed the mark, Henry said. I'm used to seeing Mercedes work a certain way, and she didn't work like that. And I don't think it was because of her. Also, there were times they did a couple of things over again because it didn't get done right the first time. And a lot of that was the fact that the position that Britt was in was wrong. Henry cited a moment in the match that saw Baker head to a backbreaker off the ropes, despite Monet not having the size or strength to pull off the spot. According to Henry, the moment served as a prime example of sandbagging, something Baker previously accused Thunder Rosa of doing during one of their matches. It would take for both people to be on the same page and work together for the greater good of the match, not the greater good of the individual, Henry said. I don't want this person to shine over me. I don't want them to look good at my expense. I'm a pillar. That's a work. You're just the first woman hired to get your ass out there and work for that person like your life depended on it. So he's basically accusing Britt Baker of sandbagging the match. Now, I don't agree with that at all. If you want my honest opinion of what I thought happened, you have two women. Neither one of them can really lead a match. I mean, Britt Baker's really not known for her ring work as much as her mic work. And Mercedes Monet, not really known for more known for her ring work than her mic work. But neither one of them have wrestled all that much over the last year. So I think it was a combination of placement in the card. I think they were both rusty as hell, especially Britt. I mean, I'm not even sure Britt was ready to be in that position. Like, whatever happened to ramping people up and getting them ready? Like, she was thrust right into a main event that maybe she wasn't quite ready for. Maybe her body wasn't ready for. Maybe her mind wasn't ready for. I don't necessarily think she did anything wrong. I just think that it was a combination of events that made that match not come off like it should. And when he's talking about the backbreaker off the ropes, I mean, they talk about these moves ahead of time. So if that's something that Monet couldn't have done, she should have said something, right? If you and I are going to wrestle and you're like, I want to do a hunakata, and you're like, well, I want you to do that, and you're like, well, I don't know how to do that. Why would I make you do it then if you honestly can't pull it off? So I think there's a lot of things going on here. I personally don't think it's somebody sandbagging someone else. I think there's just a lot of additional factors. I mean, people were saying all kinds of things, like Mark Henry complains when it's in an African American's situation, which I don't agree with, and people were saying that Britt Baker just has a bad attitude and didn't want her to be successful, and I don't agree with that. And people were saying Monet is just not good in the ring, and where I've been critical of her in the past, I don't think she did a horrible job in this match. I thought there were some good moves. So I think there's a lot of speculation, but I'm gonna throw it over to the Reverend first. What do you think? What do you think about what Mark Henry said, and what do you think? Why do you think that match didn't have the impact it probably should have?
I didn't expect it to be a scenario where everybody could be wrong. Like, how are they all wrong? How is Mark Henry wrong? And the people criticizing Mark Henry were wrong. I think, listen, I don't think there was sandbagging involved. And the reason why I don't is because you don't let somebody body slam you from what, like 7 feet, 8 feet in the
Second row,
air.
yeah.
You don't give them your body like that if you're going to sandbag them. You don't. That's just not going to happen. That's not in human nature. So I don't believe that at all. I do believe the rusty thing. I think Encyclopedia, you said it. You said it was like a smart match. that they wrestled, and it was in terms of working the back and the way it was organized. I think we talked about it a while back. Like it seemed like people turned on Mercedes Moné already because it's just they were like, okay, you're not
Thing to
what
do.
you were. Yeah, it's the thing to do. It becomes the thing to do. Maybe they were reasonably annoyed at first, but then it became the thing to do. And I think people wanted to crap on that match. And the internet will do that. That's just what happens. But I think Mark Henry is way off the mark there, so to speak. He gets mad. Rikishi gets mad when somebody in his family loses. That's true. He always gets mad about that. Mark Henry doesn't just get mad when African Americans lose. That's not true. But he is protective of certain people. Like those are his kids and that kind of thing. I think that could be one of those scenarios where he's trying to protect someone who he sees as one of his kids, but I don't think there was any sandbagging going on. I thought, like I said, I don't think anybody did anything wrong in that match. I don't. I thought it was a good match. It told, they did the right stuff.
Would you agree though that it was the worst match on the card? Or if not, what was the worst match on the card? Because people are claiming that this was the worst match. A lot of people.
It's a weird thing because it wasn't a bad match, but it definitely, like, between that and I'd probably say the casket match, or the coffin match, because it stopped so abruptly. Between those two, they would be at the bottom. But I didn't think either of them were bad. Like, does that make
Okay.
sense?
No, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm kidding.
No, it's
So
like it was a
encyclopedia.
card full of good, but that was the least amount of good.
I mean, there are bad matches, and then there are like good matches on a card full of great matches,
Yeah,
right? Is that where you're going? So you're saying it was
yeah,
good.
exactly,
They never
exactly.
reached great where all the other matches did. So encyclopedia, your thoughts?
I read that earlier as well. I don't know. I don't think there was sandbagging going on, and I think you definitely said it. Britt's not known for necessarily having these knockout, drag out match of the year candidates. I think she had that one match with Thunder Rosa, the street fight with the iconic blood all over her face. And I think everybody just assumes all her matches are great. Her matches are passable. They're not great. I don't recall. I'll be honest. I don't remember the Thunder Rosa matches like 10 months later being that great. Didn't even come close.
Yeah.
In fact, Rob, I think I even said to you, I was like, I was disappointed with all the hype this thing got. So I don't know that I really had any expectations on this match, but I thought the story was Britt had an injured back and she was going for it, just as Jack Perry just suffocated the living shit out of Darby Allin for 10 minutes. As far as which was the worst match on the card, I guess you could say they were both good contenders. Look, let's be honest. Jericho Hook wasn't a great match. Mariah May and Toni Storm was entertaining. Didn't make it a great match. It was an entertaining match. And that's what a lot of this card was. A lot of AEW shows, you end up getting a lot of matches that if you're putting on a rating scale of 4 out of 5 stars, a lot of them will get out of 5 stars, a lot of them will get 3.5, 4. You'll see multiples. You didn't get that, but it was an entertaining show. And I'd rather be entertained top to bottom than have,
all 5-star matches.
Right, especially because those are the most exhausting most of the time. And most of the time with this style, and I think this is where the Mercedes match got some of the critique, and I said this earlier, it was a more scientific focusing on an injury match, which today's fan wants the nonstop acrobatics.
Right, and high flying and all that
no
kind of stuff.
selling.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The match was relatively quiet until that body slam, right? I
Right.
mean, the crowd was kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
And then that body slam kind of woke everybody up a little bit.
Yep.
So yeah, I totally disagree. I think disagree with Mark Henry. I think he's way off. I don't even know where that comes from. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what he was watching.
Yeah, and no offense to the Busted Open crew, because Their show's got plenty of listeners, way more, probably at least 100 times more than what we get. So be it. But Mark Henry and Tommy Dreamer are your subject matter experts. No
Well, I mean,
offense. Neither one
thing
of them really accomplished that much. No
He
offense
didn't
to
really
Mark Henry. I get that he was a
yeah.
world champion, but look, he's like a baseball player that plays 15 or 16 years. They get respect because of their longevity, not because they've really made a mark on the sport. I'm sorry, Jason. I know you're going to agree with me, disagree with me on that. That's fine. I just don't. If I went back and wanted to pick an all-time moment of Mark Henry, I'll never forget. I'll be honest. It's probably that stupid hand segment with Mae Young. And Tommy Dreamer, whatever. I mean, and I met the guy. I paid to meet the guy once. I know Freddie would kill me if he knew that. If he actually,
I
don't know, but
understand his opinion, but I don't understand. He didn't really back it up with anything to me. He just kind of said, "Oh, I think she was sandbagging." Well, give me some examples. Tell me where you saw that.
But also on that show, sometimes they seem like they just want to stir stuff up.
Well, I mean,
which is what I think Meltzer's doing now. I think Meltzer, with his ratings and a lot of the stuff he does, I think he knows he's full of shit. He's just trying to stir shit up.
Well, look, people are talking about it, right? So they got what they wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's why I had a feeling you guys would think that way because you're too intelligent, man.
I got a feeling.
And when I read that, I said, I don't know where Mark Henry's coming from. I don't know what match he was watching because I didn't see that. I definitely don't think it's a sandbagging issue, but whatever. All right. So with that said, we have some picks that we need to make. And the encyclopedia correctly pointed out to me that Bash in Berlin is first. Right? It's Saturday.
Yep.
We've got several matches that we need to choose from. So let's get into it. I know we've been going on for a little while tonight, so let's get right to the picks. So our first match, the women's tag team title match. We have the Unholy Union. I love that. That's gets me right here when I read that. Alba Fry and Elsa Dawn versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. So, encyclopedia, who do you like?
Who do I like? I like Isla Dawn. Oh, you mean to win the match?
Yes. Let's
You're not
get
wrong,
into
though.
that. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a bad choice, but you know.
Yeah, I swear she reminds me of Deborah Ann Wall from True Blood. Jessica. Still get those vibes. Do you really put Bianca and Jade in this rematch and have them lose again? I mean, they didn't even get pinned when they lost the belts. I think the Unholy Union tag team title reign was to, get the fans in Scotland happy, especially with Drew losing at Clash of the Castle. They got that moment. And as much as I see potential in the Unholy Union, I think they're one of these groups that would benefit from some more vignettes and really introduce what those characters are about, and they haven't done that. I don't think the American fans care.
I would agree with that. I don't know who either. I couldn't pick the two of them out of a lineup.
But that ass he could.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with Bianca and Jade. I think I don't see how they don't get the titles again.
Yep.
Yeah, the only question I had in my mind was, are they going to break up Bianca and Jade? Yeah, and they're not going to break them up.
Not yet.
Because Jade's not ready to be solo yet.
I tell you, though, she's improved lately.
Oh, yeah. That's why they won't break them up right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to Clash of the Castle, there were some screw-ups in that match. I haven't seen anything since then where I'm oh, God, she's still green.
Yeah, she's fine in her legs.
I would say Lash Legend in NXT, same thing. She was sloppy for a long time, and she's really killing it now. So I don't know. Maybe the two of them are going to the same getting the same training now. But
that's time. It's always a matter of time. You got to put in the reps.
So across the board, Bianca and Jade.
Yes, sir.
All right. The next match, the Terror Twins. Again, name I love. Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus the Judgment Day's Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. I mean, on paper, this looks like it should be a Priest Ripley destruction fest.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know that's not going to be the case. We all know Judgment Day is going to get involved somehow. The only question is, do we think the Terror Twins are going to lose? So
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to throw it to the Reverend.
Sorry.
I feel like they need a win.
The Terror Twins?
So, yeah,
Or the Judgment Day?
they need the win right now. The Terror Twins.
Because they keep getting their asses handed to themselves on TV?
Yeah. I mean, you just lost a championship. You just Rhea lost her bid. Like, yeah, I think they need the win. And it's one of those inconsequential wins. It doesn't hurt the Judgment Day. You know. So I think the Terror Twins win.
Encyclopedia?
I'm going to save my breath. He pretty much nailed my thinking. I think Terror Twins need this win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you guys on that one.
And what a
All
name,
right.
Terror Twins.
What I think is I don't know if you guys saw the clip.
Mhm.
Damian Priest was coming out of a trailer, and he was going down like a slope. And Rhea was coming out behind him, and she had these very big high heels on. And she had put her hands on his shoulders to get down. And you can tell the two of them are really tight because she had no problem like grabbing right onto him. And he turned around and gave her like this look, like a half smile. And he walked nice and slow so she could get down the ramp. And you could tell it was very cute. I thought it was like, I don't know, it made me laugh. I just smiled when I saw it because I'm like, look at the two of them. They're like getting along so well. And they must really like each other. Like you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like a lot of guys would do that and be like, ugh, you know, you can tell he like looked back. He's like, all right, you know, she probably said, don't go without me. I'm going to fall, you know, or something. And he just, you know, I just thought it was a very human moment between the two of them. I liked it. So,
Yeah.
I know. I also saw a clip of some little girl trying to get to Rhea Ripley, and the security tried to stop her, and Ripley got down on her like knees, and I'm like, she's just amazing. Like, I have to stop for a second and give WWE and AEW a lot of credit. They seem to really be taking care of their fans these days.
Mm.
Like you don't really see any negative interactions anymore. Like, and there really seems like they're going out of their way. You know, like that girl specifically. I mean, security was about to stop her, and Rhea was like, whoa, 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 and like put her arms around. Like it wasn't like an interaction like, oh, hi, how you doing? Like she had her arms around her, and you could tell they were just having this little private moment. And she didn't need to do that.
You know,
she could have been like, you know, here, let me sign this and, you know, go on about my business. So you got to give them all a lot of credit. I see a lot of the wrestlers coming out when people have things to sign and they're signing things on TV, which they would never do in the Vince McMahon era. I mean, geez, you know, you can get in so much trouble for that. So sorry, sidebar. Just wanted to bring that up. I think they're doing a great job.
Just off of that, I don't know if you know, that was that Fanatics Fest thing that happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, people were not overly happy with a lot of the folks who showed up to that, except for the WWE folks. So from the other major sports leagues and all that, they said the reception wasn't that great, and that a lot of the fans felt slighted. But apparently, everybody loved the way the WWE guys showed out. Like,
I mean, that comes from the top.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, kudos to Tony Khan, kudos to Triple H. They're really, the message is coming across. It seems like they're really looking after their people, you know, and going that little extra mile. So credit to them all. All right. Off soapbox? Off. Okay. Strap match. CM Punk. Drew McIntyre. So I'll go first this time. I think Punk has to win this match. I mean, I can't see him going 0-2 at this point. Right? What's the point then? McIntyre's won the feud. It should be over. You know, the only way I can see that being different is if that Hell in the Cell is the next, you know, and Punk wants revenge or whatever. But I think, or McIntyre wants revenge or something like that. So I'm going to go with Punk, I think, in this match. Because then they, you know, now they're 1-1. Now you can really have a tiebreaker match. They both have a legitimate claim. So, Encyclopedia, take it. What do you got?
I agree that CM Punk needs to win more now. I think I'm ready for this feud to end, but I think we we'll see this go to Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping for a strap match that we don't get the WWF standard of a strap match, and we saw it over and over again where guys touching the turnbuckle while he's dragging his opponent around. His opponent's tagging the same turnbuckles right behind him. And then there's always that last turnbuckle that the guy that was second tagging the turnbuckle magically dives over the guy, manages to hit a suplex. I'm sorry, we're going as far as 2005 because I think Guerrero and JBL did something similar. I'm just, can we be original? Beat the crap out of your opponent to the point that you're just touching those 4 turnbuckles in succession. Let's
Yeah,
not
I
do
hate strap matches. I hate chain matches too. I think they're stupid, but
I don't have a problem with the strap match. I have a problem if they're going to use the same damn ending over and over again. Because WWF pay-per-views, I think they did it in the '90s with Vega Austin, and then they did it again, and I think it was Guerrero JBL. Probably wrong, but it's like similar finishes. I'm just like, please, can
I
we
don't know
come up
why
with a
you
new
can't
one?
do. I don't know why you can't do pinfall or submission and just the strap be legal. I don't know why you have to touch all corners. I mean, the strap is so long, I could walk and touch all 4 corners without moving the guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. There should
Yeah,
be
but the
a
guy,
limit.
I don't know,
or something.
but the guy who's going to try to prevent you from touching those 4 corners. I'm okay with it. I think it's different. Just like I know I'm in the minority. I like the whole steel cage climb over the top or go through the door option. I don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people hate that. Rob, I think you're in that group, and that's fine.
No, I
It's
don't
different
mind that
style.
so much.
Oh, I thought
I'm
I
okay
thought
with
you
it.
always felt like steel cage had to be you beat the crap out of your opponent, and you weren't trying to leave the cage.
No,
And I thought,
I have a problem with them not having any blood.
oh, yeah, that's fair. Well, Bret Hart, Owen Hart. That was 30 years ago, actually tonight. There was no blood in that one, and that to me is the definitive cage match, the best cage match of all time.
Mm-hmm.
No blood.
I mean, they don't all have to have blood, but like when they were going Hell in the Cell and you'd have 3 or 4 Hell in the Cell or and no blood, I'm like, come on, really?
Right.
None? Okay.
Oh, you know that Punk McIntyre match. Someone's gonna bleed
Oh
if
yeah.
they go to Hell in a Cell. Anyway,
Revan, who do you like?
I think Punk is gonna win, but there's part of me that wouldn't mind seeing Punk not win any match against McIntyre. Like no matter how many they have, there's a part of me that would get a perverse joy out of seeing Punk lose every single time somehow through some kind of shenanigans or whatever. And it would just be funny to me. He could even win a world title after that, but he'd still never have beaten Drew McIntyre. It's not a terrible thing. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Punk's going to get his win, but he's not going to get his bracelet back.
that I wish they would put to bed
Yeah,
for sure.
they should get rid of that. All right, so we have our Universal title match. We have Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens.
We just save
Cody
ourselves
Rhodes,
time.
I think Cody Rhodes across the board.
Yeah.
I do think it was funny this week when, or was it last week? I can't remember when Austin Theory and they were doing that they did the video montage and Kevin Owens like, all those guys did deserve it, what I did to them. And I'm like, that's a bad guy way of thinking. That's not a good guy way of thinking. And they showed Chris Jericho. I was like, Chris Jericho.
That was a surprise.
But Kofi Kingston, maybe he didn't deserve it.
Yeah. Kofi, I'm sorry.
Kofi.
I thought that was funny. And then he goes, can I go in the ring and punch him? Do we have time? And what's his name? Nick Aldis is like, all right, well, if you hurry up.
There's a clip after that segment when they're having the stare down and Cody and Kevin Owens are in the ring and Kevin Owens is talking trash to them and like, you guys don't have adrenaline in your souls, and it's just such a random line. But I forgot how fun a trash talker Kevin Owens is. So.
Yeah, I mean Kevin Owens heel is so much better than Kevin Owens face, but hey, that's what we got. All right, and then I see the Encyclopedia has not waited to put in his final pick. We have Gunther versus Randy Orton, and here he has Gunther on the sheet, and it's Gunther all the way across. I mean,
you could have written it 3 times.
Yeah, you could have.
I know, but you guys might surprise me.
No surprises here. I mean, I love Randy Orton. I think he's doing a great job, but Gunther's not going to lose.
Yeah, no.
But by the way, there's a clip. I think there's a countdown to Bash of Berlin that's going to go up on social media, and I saw a clip where Cody said, "You said you didn't even want a title shot," and Kevin Owens was, "That's not what I said. I didn't say I didn't want a title shot. Who would say they don't want a title shot? I said I didn't deserve a title shot."
Yeah. Kevin Owens, he's a classic, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. All right, so let's move over and
By
get
the way,
to our.
before
I'm
you,
sorry. Go
do
ahead.
you believe he said this week that he still has not re-signed?
Who?
Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, I believe you said it.
Oh, so you think he is re-signed?
Well, I think maybe they're still negotiating. Maybe they're
Yeah.
going to sign something like you might find out right before this match that he signed a new deal.
I
Yeah,
hope
that
so.
wouldn't surprise me.
I'd hate to see him because I think his time would be up in January or February, if I remember correctly. Anyway. Okay.
All right. So moving over to NXT.
Do you want me to save time? I'll make my picks. You'll just copy them like you always do.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. I don't follow NXT, so whatever you pick is mine.
I'm going to be honest. This is the one I made an effort today because all in, as much as I was trying to get through it, I've been exhausted every night. So I fell asleep 3 times trying to get through the last hour because I wasn't
It's a
watching
lot
that.
of show.
Yeah, but it flowed. It wasn't a fact of, oh my God, this is too long.
No,
Yeah, I wish they
it's
would
just
throw
a
some interview segments, backstage segments in to break it up a little bit, but it was fine. It was a great show. And then thanks to some car issues I had to take care of today, I was sitting waiting for my car, which allowed me to get through Dynamite and finish Raw. And I started on NXT. So I only read results for NXT. Being totally transparent here, that's not like me. I usually try to get at least the shows leading into pay-per-views done, and I ran out of time. All right, so we got former Rascals, the former MSK explode. Should I do it like that? MSK explodes here at NXT No Mercy. All right, the WrestleMania 5 song. All right, I'm done. I'm going Wesley on this one.
Agreed.
Me too.
Rob, if you want to call it an early night, you could probably just hang up.
Hey, let's say our picks at the same time.
You could put a cardboard cutout right now of yourself, Rob, and it wouldn't matter because we already know it's whatever he picks.
All right. The NXT Women's North American Championship. Didn't even know they had that. Kaylani Jordan versus Wendy Chu.
It's only been 3 months.
Wendy Chu wears the one that wears the pajamas all the time, right?
Yeah,
but now she's demonic.
Yeah, it's mixed now. It's like that previous character. She was
So now she wears dirty pajamas.
No. If you remember, she had that faction where she was like that mysterious character with the white painted face and the long nails.
It was like her, Xia Li, and I can't remember the other
Dante Chen.
Name. Dante Chen, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who do we
They're
like?
like the villains from.
I like Wendy Chu. I don't see them taking the belt off Kalani Jordan, and I'm sorry.
Me too.
I told you, just hang up. I'll give you some time back.
No, I don't want to miss the pearls of wisdom here.
He is seeing this through to the end.
When I get all these picks wrong, then you're gonna be like, "Why did I listen to him?"
No, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you're right. I'll probably blame you for it anyway. But all right, whatever. All right.
I mean, if you're just gonna follow my picks, we went across the board the same picks anyway. So why even bother finishing?
All right. So the NXT Tag Team Title match, we have Axiom and Nathan Frazier versus Chase U. And do we know who's representing Chase U?
Yes, Andre Chase and Rich Holland.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
It's Andre Chase and Rich Holland.
Come on, please Chase U. Please win, Chase U.
I'm picking Chase U.
Yeah, I like that.
You're so full of.
Hey, look, man. Have I not said all along they don't watch the show? Have I ever said anything different?
You know, we could just vote for you not to do NXT picks, or we just not do it.
I don't care. I don't watch the show, so I just don't have time. It's the one show I can never get to.
You don't get through SmackDown either.
I've watched SmackDown the last several weeks.
This next match, however, is actually the one that I had trouble picking.
This is 1 or 2 I'm having trouble picking.
Okay, last chance match for the NXT North American
It's
title. Oma.
it's not a
Is it
last
a
chance match.
Okay.
Folks,
Okay.
we use a Google Doc as you know to track stuff. I copy and paste the tables most of the time, and most of the time, these guys find something where I forgot to edit something from the last time. So that was from the last pay-per-view when it was Oma Femi versus Wesley. So
Okay.
there. Last chess match is gone. It's just the next NXT
Okay.
North
So it's
American
just a
title
regular
match.
old North American title match.
Yes.
Oba
Good
Femi
setup
versus
for this match.
Yeah. that's
Tony
true.
D'Angelo.
This is tough, man.
So do we think Oma's getting ready to get called up to the main roster?
I don't
I don't think
he
he's
should,
ready quite yet. Yeah.
So you think he
because
hangs
he's
on
not
to the
main
North
event
American
yet
title?
in NXT. He's going to
Yeah,
be
but that
main
doesn't
event
matter.
first.
If he's ready, I mean,
I don't think he's ready yet.
I
I
mean,
think he's close.
Was Odyssey Jones a main eventer?
No. Odyssey Jones, I think, barely lasted 3 or 4 months. He
I
wasn't on
think
very much.
Odyssey Jones's issue was health most of that time.
Right, but I mean, he didn't win. He wasn't a top man in NXT, so that's your argument doesn't hold water.
Yeah, I mean,
I see
I
what
mean,
you mean. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to talk about people in NXT that should be on the main roster already, you could argue Roxanne Perez should have been up there already.
Yep.
Trick Williams was getting a reaction even on Raw.
Yep.
Several months ago, we heard whoop that trick. He wasn't even on the damn show, or he was.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. He was on the show, but so there's it's like when they first started the women's revolution and Stephanie McMahon brought out Charlotte and Becky and Sasha Banks. Bayley ended up almost a year later was when she finally got to the main roster. She was ready then.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine if they have something for this guy to do. I thought he would have been the New Day's next guy. When they brought up Odyssey Jones, I was like, really? Yeah, this guy? I mean, he's
Odyssey Jones, I
gonna
think,
be
fits the
New
end. Sorry, Jason, go ahead.
I don't think he's going to be their new guy. I think he's going to team with them a lot, but I don't think he's going to be.
Well, I mean, I guess they're gonna.
I think they're gonna split him for good.
Right.
Yeah,
They're
I think you got to end that.
What was his name? Xavier. So.
Yeah, but if there was someone that was going to be in added to New Day between Odyssey Jones and Obafemi, I would say Odyssey Jones fits their characters more than Obafemi does. But Obafemi's like just a badass, destroy you, but
Love that character.
Doesn't realize
so
his own strength.
So who do we like? You think Oba's
I
gonna win?
want to say Tony D'Angelo, but I feel like Obafemi's becoming that guy that it's like don't bet against him.
Mm-hmm. We're in the same mindset there.
All three of
All
us.
three of us.
Yeah.
Jason, I'm going to make a pick and then I'll text you on which one we should switch right before we go live. The show starts on Sunday.
I don't know why I don't know why that would matter. I don't watch the show.
Yeah, but if you pick the same thing across the line as us and then we go in and switch to the last minute and didn't tell you, that's the only chance we got.
You got to win a lot more than that.
I know that.
So, you want to waste your time doing that? Go ahead. All right, NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker.
Did you see that promo?
That's where I stopped. Yeah, as soon as we're done recording, that's what I'm watching first. So let's hurry this up so I can go see it.
God.
So who do we like, boys?
Reverend, I'm going to let you go first. You can unmute yourself.
I'm going to go on a limb.
That's a mistake.
I'm picking Jada Parker. I think Roxanne is moving up.
Okay.
Makes no sense. I have no plan for what they would do with her after she wins, but I'm picking her.
Okay. I'm going Roxanne. So now Rob has a tough decision to make.
I'm going to stick with the champion.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have a tough decision.
I got to
we all knew
what's the difference?
We all knew whose test he's been copying off of.
I think if I did something really outlandish, I could see him being like, "What? No, I'm not going to follow him on this one."
Well, if I really wanted to think about it, I could just tell you I could put my picks in later and do some research. But all right, last and final match: NXT Women's World Championship. Ethan Page versus Joe Hendry. Trick Williams as guest referee. I guess that's relevant somehow that Trick is guest referee with what's going on.
So Ethan Page was trying. I guess Ava indicated no referee wants to do Ethan Page's match because he's just out of control, I guess.
Well, so the last match, he was very physical with the refs.
Right. So
and he has been a lot.
So Ethan Page said, I think Ethan Page basically insinuates, okay, suspend me and I don't have to defend my title. And she said, I'm going to come up with something else. Well, that something else was Trick Williams as a guest referee. So, Jay, I know you watched the show. Do you think Joe Hendry in popularity in NXT has surpassed Trick Williams? Because I feel like that's what they're testing here. I feel like Joe Hendry, in my opinion, is getting a much better reaction than Trick Williams was.
I think Joe Hendry has now gotten into that pop culture type of popularity thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's bigger than one company or the other.
All right. So the question is,
Rob.
do they put
Rob doesn't believe in Joe Hendry.
Well, I mean, here's the question. Do they put an NXT title on a TNA wrestler?
That's the part that's throwing me off.
Yeah.
Because I said it from the beginning. Wait a minute, 1 second. I said it from the beginning. Your TNA, it doesn't benefit TNA if they're consistently going to lose to all NXT people. So go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
There are a lot of mechanisms to make it reasonable to get that belt on Joe Hendry right now. There's a ton of ways that match can go.
Do you guys consider the NXT title on the same level as the TNA title? Like, they're both supposedly world titles, right?
Yeah.
So do you consider them on the same level?
There was a time that I would have questioned whether NXT champion and AEW champions were on the same level. In theory, AEW is just slightly ahead. That's a tough one. I feel like TNA is not marketed as a developmental territory, so in hindsight, that would be slightly higher than NXT, but NXT has more of a higher viewership. And I would be curious if you did 2 back-to-back nights in the same arena, one of NXT, the next night TNA, or vice versa. I'd be curious to see which ticket sold more. Or, you know what I mean?
It's an interesting scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Thank you.
NXT has the popularity. I mean, but NXT has the machine behind it.
Which is true, but here's the other thing. I'm watching All In. And I'm saying to myself, okay, people are nitpicking that they didn't sell like they did last year. And there are parts that were tarped off, and you could see a lot of them. There was, splatterings of empty seats. But I said to myself, even when NXT was in the black and gold era, which was my favorite NXT era, I think it was a lot of NXT eras. I think Rob actually made an effort to try to watch the shows back then.
I did.
Do I see even the black and gold era being able to sell 50,000 tickets at Wembley? No, I don't.
No, it wouldn't have.
Now TNA, on the other hand, I don't think TNA could sell 20,000 tickets.
No, but I don't think that's what they're built for. I think they're built to be small. The little engine that could.
TNA maybe, and I think NXT had
pay-per-view sold out. I think. I think I read their next pay-per-view has sold out.
Yeah, but how big was that arena?
I don't know. I mean,
it's probably more than what they're getting for Dynamite, but I don't think they would necessarily oversell AEW on a pay-per-view level. I don't know, because the other thing, Ethan Page just got that belt in Toronto. So you really capping this title reign at just under 2 months? I don't know.
I mean, do the fans riot if Joe Hendry loses?
No.
This one's in Denver, so I'm not sure. It's not in the normal NXT crowd. And another thing I want to talk about in the weeks to come, not tonight, but NXT for CW. They're going to the Allstate Arena, and they're putting Punk there. Week after that, St. Louis, Randy Orton's going to appear. Is NXT at a point where they could sell that many tickets for that arena, either one of those arenas? I'm not so sure. If you didn't have Punk and Randy Orton there, for sure, I would say absolutely not a chance. So I'm really curious to see how those sell. Anyway, going back to this match, I want to say Joe Hendry. Ethan Page only 60 days in. I think there's more to it with Ethan Page retaining. Maybe you end up with a rematch with Ethan Page, Joe Hendry, and Trick Williams at the next event. But I think I'm going to have to go Page here. As much as I hate that, because I really want Joe Hendry to win this, I don't think they're taking the belt off Page that quickly. And I think that's also why Trick Williams is in this match. Don't forget, Pete Dunne's having an issue with Trick Williams, so he's probably getting involved.
Yeah, that's true too. There's a lot to that. Your logic sound there. There's way, just in the same way that Trick Williams can cost Ethan Page the title, he could also cost Joe Hendry his shot. So, I think I'm gonna go Ethan Page.
Okay.
But yeah, I do agree. It's gonna be a triple threat or a fatal 4-way in the next match.
All right, Rob.
I'm gonna have to go. I honestly, I think you're right about Ethan Page. I think this is setting up something coming up.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing from you guys, I tend to think that's sound logic. So.
You'd asked that question about the difference between the two companies, and we're seeing people show up for the NXT championship. We haven't seen anybody show up for the TNA championship yet, crossing over for that, and I want to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that again, that's what makes it.
Well, that's a true sharing, right? I mean, the one thing you can say about AEW is that if they're sharing with New Japan or AAA or CMLL, you're seeing the crossover.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing up on Dynamite. They're coming out on Dynamite. They're showing they won a title in Mexico or they won a title in Japan. So there is crossover. And the one thing I'm noticing with NXT and TNA is I don't see a lot of the people going the opposite direction.
Mm.
Yeah, I think.
So I'm wondering if that's going to happen at some point.
The only one we had so far was Tatum Paxley going for the TNA Knockouts Championship. I think that was the only real major crossover. There were other matches that happened, but the only major crossover that happened was that, like where someone challenged for a title.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we have anything we want to wrap up? Anything else anybody wants to talk about?
I did want to bring something up, but
Go
has
for
to
it.
do it. Well, now I got to find the link because I thought we were wrapping up with picks. It has to do specifically with Ricochet.
Ricochet?
Yeah. So apparently, just to summarize, because I don't want to keep this going. I'm sure we've gone well over an hour and 15 minutes probably at this point. Yeah, Jason's shaking his head. Apparently, a fan said that she likes Ricochet. She's not really a fan of AEW, but she's going to check out them highlights. And Ricochet went back at her. Like, if you really like me, why aren't you going to watch my entire match? Like, and some fans were like, I think she's saying she doesn't like AEW, but for you, she's going to make an effort at least to see your stuff. And he's like, but why would it? Like, he was going back and forth with fans, and I'm just like, bro, are you kidding me?
I think he was having separation anxiety.
You think?
Samantha.
Or is it WWE?
Was going crazy.
Somebody said that when he came out on Dynamite that he didn't look to the hard camera side, and the joke was that he didn't want to realize and wake up to the fact that half the arena was empty. And I was like,
a lot of speculation.
Yeah,
and
of course it is.
I was like, all right, really? I look, Ricochet went there because he could do the wrestling style he likes, and they're probably paying him way better than WWE, and he feels he's going to get utilized more. Probably overlooking the fact that just about everybody from WWE that wasn't a main eventer in WWE at some point ends up getting the "you're my favorite toy" for about 3 weeks run and then disappears. But
well, don't you think they addressed that this week on Dynamite? Because he came out he was wrestling and he won, and then Will Ospreay came out and they made it look like he was going to challenge. And then, did you see what happened?
Yeah, Pac with the poison rana.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed
That was pretty cool, but yeah, I'll be honest. I was sitting there thinking to myself, look, I don't really care about Ricochet, but really, Pac and Will Ospreay don't need to see that either.
Well,
But
why?
Pac has a title shot.
Right, and
That's
Pac
all
is
it is.
I know.
And
solid.
also,
I mean, he'll put on a good match.
yeah, let's not pretend like they
I don't care about the
wouldn't be able
character.
to tear it up.
You don't like the bastard?
No, I don't. I liked him when he was Neville. No.
I was gonna say, is it because gravity forgot him? Is that what it is?
What was it? The man that gravity forgot?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't care about. I mean, look, let's be honest. What's likely going to happen is they're going to vacate those trio titles because for some reason Pac's going to have to go back to the UK and it's not going to be able to come back to the US for several months again. Because this seems to be a trend with him. He comes back, you think you're going to get a run out of him, and then he goes back to the UK for some whatever reason. It's a visa issue, it's a family issue, it's an injury.
Well, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Moxley, so that was a strange segment this week.
Do you know when they showed that segment backstage and they showed the girl's face? I was sitting there like for the longest time. I didn't even. I was like, I was almost going to rewind. I was like, who the hell is that? And then the commentator said it was Marina Shafir, and I was like, that's Marina Shafir. She looks even worse.
Well, that's what I
Like,
thought.
I'm supposed to realize that's her.
That's what
I
I thought
didn't know
about
who it
Jamie
was.
Hayter.
I didn't realize they said it.
When Jamie Hayter went out to the ring, I'm like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
It doesn't look anything like her.
She was inspired by the movie Annie.
I guess. Or Ronald McDonald, or
The sun will come out tomorrow.
I was like, who the hell is that? And they're like, Jamie Hayter. I'm like, that's Jamie Hayter?
Actually, at the rate we're going, I'm going to be singing "The Sun Is Coming Out." It's tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, we should wrap up. All right. So, Anthony, God, take us out.
All right. We thank you all for listening. For those of you in the U.S., happy Labor Day weekend to you. For those of you kiddies that are already back at school, or about to go back to school, cry me a river. It's the Sports Frenzy Podcast on Facebook, Sports Frenzy Pod on Instagram, I believe. Yeah, I'm going to cheat because I'm tired. Oh, okay. Jason, maybe you should close this out. It's Sports Frenzy Pod on Twitter, Sports Frenzy Podcast on Instagram, The Sports Frenzy Podcast. We're on Facebook. Check out OTBS. They just posted a new episode earlier this week. Also, check out our friends at Another Wrestling Podcast. I've been talking to their host, and we're possibility of some sort of collab happening soon, so fingers crossed. Again, have an awesome weekend. Boys, glad to be back at full strength, and we will see you next week. Peace.